Hello, it's so good to see you today. Happy holiday weekend. I want to talk about this idea of creating a deliberation station. I think it's brilliant, and I think when I explain it a little bit more, you're going to be like, yes, that is going to solve a lot of my like clutter problems. Especially if you tend to be one that sometimes feels like a little like double-minded when you go to declutter. You're like, okay, I'm geared up, like I'm gonna get so much done. Maybe even you don't have big plans for the holiday weekend and you're like I am gonna do it this weekend, right? And then we kind of get into it and sometimes we stall out. So we're gonna talk about why that happens, how we can overcome it, some just really fascinating research to share with you as well. But mostly, good morning. It's really good to see you. I will definitely want to answer your questions too, and we'll leave time for that as well. Well, happy Memorial Day weekend if you are in the US. I just heard a thing that said 1.1 million men and women have lost their lives in action so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have. Now, many more have served, right, over the years, but 1.1 million lost their lives for us. And then when I was listening to, he posed the question and he said, are you living a life that was worth dying for? Are you living a life that was worth dying for? And I was like, woo, I don't know. Right? I'm like, that's a big question. And I definitely feel as we have simplified our house more and more and more, even over the last year, I have gotten rid of so much more. I think, I thought our life was really busy when we had four little kids. No, like, and you all tried to warn me, right? It is so much busier now that they are 9 through 14. And we don't even, some of you have way crazier schedules than we do. Like I try to like limit the activities and everything. But they have so many good opportunities now. And I'm like, we are just driving and it's like just so much going on and it's good. And I wouldn't trade it. But I feel like I've had to declutter our house even more to feel like I can still manage our house well, and all of us can manage our house well. I obviously don't do it on my own, and do the other things well too. And so I want to share with you actually a little bit some of the research because I do think sometimes we underestimate the power of decluttering, but also, like I said, talk about this idea of the deliberation station because I think it can help us overcome some of the hangups, especially as you get further into decluttering. And it's not just that easy layer, that obvious layer of donations. And then you're getting to the point of actually decluttering perfectly good things. Like that is the hardest point to get to. So, hello, good morning. It's so good to see you. Awesome. Okay. So I think an important thing to remember is that clutter equals stress. There is no way around it. If we are in a cluttered environment, we are going to feel stress. There is so much scientific evidence around that now. And, we're designed as human beings to feel stress. We need stress, right, to be strong. And like stress isn't a bad thing. Chronic stress is, right? When we're always around stress and we're not getting a break from the stress. And we live in a very stressful and chaotic world. So ideally, we want to have a peaceful place to come home to so that our body can recalibrate, let our guard down, reset, relax, rejuvenate. But unfortunately, because we have so much freedom and we experience so much abundance in a way that many of our ancestors never ever have, right? It is so easy to get stuff. I mean, isn't it just so crazy now that our problem is too much, right? When for so many years the problem has been lack, and still in so many areas of the world that is the problem, right? So here we are with way too much stuff, and it is stressful. So what should be a blessing has, in many ways, become a curse now, and is so stressful to us. So, many of us have spent a lot of time together. You're understanding the value of decluttering, but I don't know if we always understand how many benefits there are to minimalism and simple living. And I want to share this with you, hopefully, to propel you further forward. And so I've been talking a little bit about this research lately. This just came out in Forbes, April 24th of this year. And it was talking about 5 benefits of making the minimalist switch. So 5 benefits of simple living, and they're so good. autonomy. This means that we don't feel stuck. This means that we feel like we have some control in our life, that we can make decisions. I've definitely felt that. I think in the past, when we first moved into this home, I was selling real estate, and um, I just had like we had to make so much money every month to pay for everything, right? But I feel like as we've simplified and we were not consuming as much, we definitely have different views on things, what we're willing to spend money on, what we're not. That I absolutely feel like I have more autonomy in my life. And to the point, where a few years ago, I was able to ask Tom, and I'm like, hey, would you give me 3 months just to go all in on this YouTube thing and test it out and just see if it could turn into anything, right? And so I'm so glad he was willing to take that risk on me, right? And now that's history. But I never would have even thought about that had I not felt like I had autonomy. But also the next one too, competence. And I've said this for so many years. Like I felt more confident as we decluttered our house, and I felt like a better mom and a better wife and a better housekeeper. And then all the other things I was doing too, I felt like I was doing a better job at, and I was more capable and I could problem solve. Didn't mean everything always like turned out how I'd hoped, but I was like, okay, I got it. I can problem solve. I can think through a creative solution. I can be proactive. I'm not always caught reacting to everything. I could not believe this. And again, from decluttering our house, from getting rid of physical items in our home. There's still times where I'm like, it doesn't compute. Like I got rid of a bunch of stuff in our house, and now I get to experience all of these benefits. And in the book, oh, darn it. Oh, the name is escaping me now. Oh, why can't I think of it? Anyways, but the author says it is a disproportionate payoff when we get our homes highly simplified. The benefits are disproportionately good compared to the work we had to do in the sacrifice we had to make to declutter. The next, mental space. Again, we're talking about clutter equals stress. There's just no way around it. Participants describe minimalism as creating mental space, resulting in a clearer, more focused mind. This connection between external and internal order allowed them to save mental energy. That's what the book's called, Inner Order, Outer Order, Inner Calm by Gretchen Rubin. Um, but it allowed them to save mental energy, helping them enjoy an enduring sense of lightness and clarity. Who of us does not want more lightness and clarity, right? The absence of physical clutter led to less internal chaos, thus supporting the idea that our surroundings can directly impact our mental state. And I think sometimes it feels chicken and egg. Do I need to get my headspace cleared up before I can really bring my physical environment into order? Or does the act of decluttering and simplifying and tidying up my physical environment actually lead to me feeling more clear mentally as well? And I think you could make a case for either, but many of you who have said that as you bring your physical environment into order, that you feel like it has infinite payoffs mentally as well. Awareness, minimalism also heightened participants' awareness of their values and what truly mattered. Again, if we're asking, are you living a life worth dying for, right? This awareness of what actually matters in life and what things just really aren't that significant. And then positive emotions. Ultimately, the combination of autonomy, competence, mental space, and awareness led to an increase in positive emotions among the study participants. They reported feelings of joy, peacefulness, and a general sense of well-being. The shift to a minimalist lifestyle appeared to serve as a catalyst for these emotions, as it enabled them to break free from the stress and anxiety that often accompanies a consumer-driven society. And so, I mean, as we're looking at this, is decluttering a risk? Yes. Every time we get rid of something, there is a chance that we could need it, or we could make a mistake, and that we're going to kick ourselves and be like, oh, shoot, I wasted that money. But I think when we look at the trade offs, oh my goodness, I mean, could it be any more worthwhile? And we're headed into our 9th year now as minimalists, 9 years. And I've gotten rid of 85% of our stuff easily. And I don't miss any of it. Yeah, maybe here and there was one or two things that I was like, oh yeah, I could have used that, or oh, that's what that was for. I shouldn't have got rid of it. But in the grand scheme, was it was it all worth it? Yes, 1,000 times over. I've said if I had to re-declutter every year, I would still do it. Again, it's a disproportionate trade-off. We decluttered our house once. I developed my decluttering muscles. I gained a value for it. I gained confidence in myself. And now that has been something that has paid off year after year after year for 9 years. It is remarkable. Truly one of the best things that I have ever done. Now, what's the problem though, right? Clutter is confusing because, like I said, we can be like, hey, it's a long weekend. I'm going to declutter the whole basement or the whole whatever, right? And we get into it and we hold something up and we're like, oh, but do I need it? Could I use it in the future? What if we do this again? Or what if my child does regain an interest in this, right? Clutter is confusing. So this is where the idea of the deliberation station comes in. Now, this idea is not my own. This was also mentioned in this article, but the author was talking about using this criteria before you make another purchase. But I think we can just as easily apply it to things that we've already purchased as well. So some of the questions that we want to ask ourselves when we're deliberating, I think whether a new purchase, something we're bringing into our home, or the evaluating the things that are already in our home is, have you thought about it for at least 2 weeks? Number two, does it solve a genuine problem that you have noticed? Number three, do you already own something similar? Like, what would you use instead? Do you already have something kind of like that? Is buying it worth giving up progress towards your next financial goal? Would you still use the purchase in 5 years from now? Wow, a 5 year test? My goodness, that's a long time to think about if I'm actually going to be using something or not. Do you know if or when, where you can place it in your home? So, where is that item going to live when you get it home? Will you have to work for a long time in order to pay for it? This has been helpful to me in the past to be like, okay, how many hours am I working to pay for this item? That can be very eye opening. Can you be productive and happy without it? Is the cost per use worth it? Does buying it support your priorities? Is buying it the best way for you to obtain it? What if we borrowed it? What if we rented it? Is it a high quality item with a reasonable price tag? So again, is it something that's going to stand the test of time and not break down quickly or easily? Is your mental state calm and neutral right now, or altered by internal and external forces? Do you just feel like you're in a good mental state to be making these decisions right now? And would the purchase be driven by intention or impulsivity? It says that if you lean towards negative answers more so than positive, consider it a sign that the purchase won't serve you or your space. Continue this habit and you'll be on your way to a minimalist living through your efforts in curating a simplistic and intentional space. And so again, I think this is awesome criteria before we make a purchase, but also how can we implement this when we're kind of getting hung up on some of these decisions that we're making? And so I think this idea of a deliberation station is very similar to like a time will tell bin. And so you can see I have like some donations and stuff piled up here. That's kind of our holding spot for donations and stuff. But what if you designated an area in your home, probably a storage space would be better, but if it's a spare bedroom or a basement or attic or part of your garage, and you're like, you know what? This thing is hanging me up and I'm not sure right now. Maybe I just don't feel like I'm in a clear headspace, or, there's lots of stressors and things going on, or I'm just really not sure if I should get rid of this. And so you just create this deliberation station. You put all your items that you are just absolutely not sure about, you put them all together. They could be in boxes or not, like pile them all up and just let it sit. Just let it be there for a little bit. And there's something eye opening that happens. And I think Marie Kondo kind of keyed in on this when we group a bunch of stuff together like this, is sometimes when we see the amount of items and the quantity of these things, and we're like, wow, I would never in the next 10 years use all of these items, right? There's so many things. And we know we're creatures of habit. We just use the same 10%. It used to be 20%. I have to be honest, we only use 10% of the things in our home now. We use the same 10% over and over again. And so there's something eye-opening, I think, when we pile it all up, put it all together, and we look at it for what it is. Anything that we're not using is clutter, right? So it's clutter. So again, if you want to stay in my home, you better make a real good case for why I need you, when I'm going to use you, what value you're going to add, where you're going to live in my house. And so when we start to look at that way, like, hey, I could donate all this stuff and be done with it, or I could find a place and continue to maintain it, have to come across it again at a point and then re-deliberate my decision. I think it brings some clarity. Now, might you pull a few things out and you're like, yeah, I just can't let go of it yet? Yeah, probably. But is there a good chance that you might be willing then to let a bunch of that stuff go, and that is going to feel so good. Let's see. Could you please have this info in a PDF file that we can print off? I love a good printable. Absolutely. We will make this into a printable, and I'll add the link to the description here on the replays. Good question, Rhonda. I really like that. All right. And then what's the last, problem with clutter is that it's draining. Decluttering is a lot of work, and I don't want to just like skip past that. Like, hey, we know all the benefits, so now like it should just be so easy for you to declutter your house, because that's not always true either. Decision fatigue is real. Being confronted confronted with all the wrong buying decisions. I mean, man, so many things, right? Where we're like, I didn't run it through all those criteria and I bought something and it's not good quality, or it's not living up to the hype, or it's more work to clean than it is to actually use, or I never could figure out how to use it. I don't want to take the time to figure out how to use it. It doesn't fit. All these things. And we feel bad. I don't know. I think most of us do anyways. I'm like, darn it. Like, I wish I had the money back. Why did I buy that? Why did I make that mistake? Why do I always do things like that? Why did I clutter up my house? It's a holiday weekend. I just want to be outside gardening or playing with the kids, or, going to a pool or beach or something. And here I am stuck with my cluttered house now. So I understand all of that, right? Clutter is draining. So if you've started and stopped and then you get on a roll and then you get sidetracked and all that, I fully understand that. And that's where sometimes I think that we need to bring some community into it. I thought this was good too. Minimalism is about stripping away the unnecessary, leaving only the things that truly matter. When we declutter our spaces and consume with conscientiousness, we simultaneously clear out the emotional and mental clutter that has been weighing us down. With fewer distractions, we are better able to focus on what really matters. So that's kind of similar to what we've been talking about, but maybe we need to bring some community into it. And so this is where I want to invite you to join us for our refresh and rehome summer clear out. It is our summer decluttering challenge in our membership group. So yes, there is a cost. I'll be completely upfront. It is $15 a month, but my goodness, I like pour everything into this group to make sure that you not only get $15 worth of value in a month. My hope is that you get $515 worth of value, if not more, because we are providing community. We are providing accountability, motivation, body doubling, dates on the calendar, guided decluttering, unique challenges to the type of declutterer that you are. And so this is a 6-week challenge. It's always fun. Like, we can do a lot of things for a concentrated effort, right? So it kicks off on June 3rd, but it's a 6-week challenge. And we're doing something unique this time around. We did our summer decluttering Olympics last year, and it was so good. It was awesome. Over 1 million items got donated in just that short time that we did our Olympics last year. But for some, it was a little intense. And so we're breaking it up this year. So if you join us for this, you're going to self-select which group you fall into. So I would be curious, even as you're watching now, like what type of declutter you are, because whether you join us or not, I'm guessing you fall into one of these categories. So we have our marathoners, our sprinters, and our weekend warriors. So the marathoners are the steady Eddie. You are the ones that it's like, our mantra is 5 minutes matters. When I don't feel like it, I am going to commit to 5 minutes. Within our group, you can post like a before picture. Often people be like, I'm going in, hold me accountable. I don't feel like it. Here's the before picture, and you better believe that if you post that, then there are going to be multiple people in the group saying, hey, where's the after picture? Hey, where did it go? And so you are expected to check back in and to let us know how it went, right? But for the marathoners, we're going to do bag a day. So this is where you take like a plastic just shopping bag. And for the 6 weeks, 45 days, you are going to be challenged to do a bag a day. This is our most effective challenge that we do. And again, if you are a marathoner, marathoners often too have some kind of limitation, whether it's time, you have a baby, little kids, you have energy limitations, physical limitations, you're caring for aging parents, you're going back to school, your job is really stressful. Just whatever those things that all of us face, right? That just drain you. So by the end of the day, you're like, I know I need to declutter, but the last thing I can think about doing right now is decluttering. So that's our marathoners, and we're going to set you up for success. Like I said, we have tactics. We know this. A large part of our group falls into this category. And please know, every season and stage of life is represented in the group. I know I'm the minimal mom. We have lots of women that do not have kids. They are empty nesters, never had kids, have furry pets, right? Live alone, live with others, have adult children, have young kids. Every area of life is represented. Then we have the sprinters. There are some of you that are like, just push me, right? Like I am ready to go all in. When you talk about those benefits, I want that. I want that. I want it by the end of the summer. And yes, will it be some hard work and, a lot of decision making? But yes, that's what I want. And I want to go all in. And so for you, I'm going to push you more than I ever have before in the past. Like, get ready because we can accomplish so much in 6 weeks. If I would have known, it took me about a year to declutter our house, which was still like not bad, right? I was so desperate at the time. But if I would have known then what I know now, I could have done it so much faster, especially if I had a supportive group like this behind me saying like, hey, it's okay. When something hangs you up, you post in the group and other people are like, oh, don't worry, I got rid of that and never missed it, right? Or yeah, I could have used it one time, but I used this instead. Excuse me. And so it's when you have a group behind you, giving you permission, giving you ideas, cheering you on, and with specific tasks that we do each week, it's remarkable. It is remarkable what you can get done. It is like a time multiplier. You can get so much more done when we do it as a group than if you do it on our own. Thank you. I'm seeing many friends saying like, so worth it. If you've not joined yet, best gift that you can give yourself. Thank you, Renda. I really appreciate that. And then we have our weekend warriors. So for some of you, the weekend is when you have time, whether you work full time, you have other commitments during the week, whatever it is, it's the weekend. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean you have the whole weekend. Like you still have other commitments in a life and maybe even a vacation that's going to fall during this. It does not matter. But understanding that we are going to challenge you to schedule your time for the weekend. When is it that you're going to work? So we're going to decide that every Friday. So we know for sure we're going to block out that time. We're going to plan ahead for what obstacles might get in the way. What if I need a sitter? What if the sitter cancels? What if I thought, this was going to happen and then it didn't? What if my aging parents need me and I thought they didn't this weekend? All those things that come up. It's okay. And we are going to plan for it. You're going to have a very specific task for the weekend. And now I give lots of specifics in here, but you're always welcome to adjust it to wherever you're decluttering at the time or what you need to get done. But if you're like, just tell me what to do, I will tell you what to do. And you can get so much done. So we want to, again, understanding that sometimes the limitations of those of you who only have the weekends. I do want to help you be successful during that limited time as well, because if we have a game plan and we know it's for a focused time, we can get so much done. I just love this group so much. So, and then here's what the schedule looks like every week. So whether it's during our 6 weeks of our summer challenge or then ongoing as well. So I do 3 pre-recorded videos during the week. So Monday is geared towards the marathoners. We'll set up the week, tell you what our weekly challenges and focus and how we're going to pace ourselves throughout the week. Wednesdays is all about the sprinters. So again, we're going to have specific tasks. I'm going to push you. I'm going to encourage you to go further than you think. I'll show you very specific things in my home. Like this is how many coffee mugs we have. This is how many pairs of shoes. This is how we store them. This is, and there's lots of opportunities to ask questions, both of myself and of other members in the group. And then Friday is for the weekend warriors. So this is all about setting you up for success for the weekend. Saturday mornings at 9:00 a.m. at Central Daylight Time, we do body doubling, live body doubling. And you'll know the schedule ahead of time. We'll have specific areas of the home we're working, but body doubling is the most effective tool that we have found to help you declutter faster. And so if you need a date on the calendar, you need someone live, you need the energy, like you need to borrow the energy and motivation from others. Even this past week when we were doing our body doubling, it was gray here in Minnesota. It's raining. And I am like, man, if it were not that I knew at 9:00 this morning I was meeting up with all of you, I would not be decluttering it this morning, right? I would not be doing this, right? And so there was something about having that time and date on the calendar that we protect, and that we're like, hey, even if I don't do anything else this week, if for this 45 minutes I'm going to be working, you are going to feel so good about yourself. So we do that on Saturday mornings, and then we always have a weekend challenge too. You show what you're decluttering, show us the boxes and bags. We encourage you to fully get it out by the end of the weekend. And then we give away prizes too, because we want to celebrate you. And, I've shared this quote before that says, grief needs a witness. Grief demands a witness. When we're grieving, when we're going through hard things, it requires a witness. We need someone else to notice what we're going through. I even heard it said our pastor was talking about, um, wow, was it sadness or something this past weekend? And he was like, we cry when we're sad because it's actually meant to be a signal to others. Like, hey, take note. That person is going through something. They're sad. Like something is happening in their life, right? And so I was like, wow, that's like really beautiful. But I also often think that decluttering demands a witness as well. You are doing so much hard work. And when you can share it with people who understand why you're getting rid of the baby clothes and why you're letting go of perfectly good things and giving you permission to let go of gifts and, things that you registered for your wedding but never actually ended up using, right? When we do that in a safe community of people that just understand it and are encouraging you, they're cheering you on, they're saying good job, like way to go, that is going to make such a difference for your kids or for yourself or for your energy levels, right? It's really cool, it's really beautiful actually. You just feel really seen and supported and encouraged and motivated, all those things that many of us are looking for. Now, some of you can do this on your own. You watch YouTube videos, you take into things, and if you're like flying on your own and doing great, awesome, keep doing that. But if you've thought like, hey, it might feel good just to have a little support, maybe you join for a month, maybe you join for the summer, you can quit anytime. Like I'm not, come and go. I am here to support you any way I can. And if this is helpful, awesome. I would love to help you and come alongside of you. And if not, no worries, right? Just like, that's fine. I'll still hang out with you here on YouTube and all the other places, right? So, but maybe investing in yourself for a summer could be just what you need to get over the hump, get re-energized around this, and to begin to experience all those benefits that we were talking about. Because you know what's really cool? You don't have to have your house completely decluttered to start experiencing that. You could, after a couple of weeks of decluttering, regain so much confidence in yourself. And we see it so many times. And you could get tips and tools like, what about my child that is just like attached to everything? What about my spouse who just won't get on board, right? We talk about that stuff all the time and we share ideas and others share what's working for them. And so no matter what you're going through, I believe that you will find others in the group that can relate, that can encourage you and cheer you on and give you lots of good advice as well. Awesome. All right. Well, there is a link in the description if you want to join us. And I would love to get to help you that way. I just think it would be so cool. And we legit get to hang out. Like you get access to my email address. Like you can email me. I want to be available. This is the best way, short of being able to like drive around and go to everyone's houses, which I would love. Like it's not really practical, right? But like I want to be in here helping you and supporting you and answering your questions and cheering you on. So like it's meant to be more personal help, just so you know. Awesome. All right. Let's see. Do women share numbers and connect outside of Facebook? Social media is tough to maintain sometimes, but a text or call could be helpful. Yes, we have had lots of friendships made within the group. And so it's always up to your own discretion what you want to do or share. But yes, absolutely. You use the group however is beneficial to you. Oh, thank you, Madonna. Madonna said, I read about Dana K. White with the Slab Comes Clean method in 2022, then found Dawn's mentorship group January of 2023. Haven't looked back. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Andy says, trust me, the group is a multiplier. You will reach the finish line faster with the community. Andy has been such a great contributor to our group too. So many like just really competent women, like just so smart and so many good ideas. It's I don't know. It's so fun to get it to be a part of. I'm in her group, so worth it. If you have not joined her group, please do. Best gift that you can give yourself. So Anne says the mentorship group is the most kind and supportive group on Facebook. So understanding and motivating. And yes, I'm glad you brought that up. And it is on Facebook. I understand many don't like Facebook, aren't on Facebook, don't like social media. It is the best platform where we can do this and where you can share what it is that you're doing. And so that's what we love about it. So some people create an account just for that. They have no friends or anything else. They like literally just go to the group and use it for that. It's very well organized, everything in there. So you don't have to scroll around a lot. You can just go to, the content that I'm posting, or you can visit and share things. So you can use it however fits you. But yes, it is, just to be clear upfront, we're working on another alternative too to Facebook, but it is just the best place that we have, for good or bad, whatever. It is just the best place that we've been able to find to have it. So again, there's a link there for that. But I want to take some time to answer your questions as well. So anything goes, personal, decluttering, minimalism, whatever. I always enjoy this time with you. And we do so much of this within the mentorship group. So like just so many opportunities to get your questions answered, and lots of that kind of stuff too. Thank you. Diana says, I got back on Facebook just to be in the group. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, Kathy says, I'm pretty minimal already, but stay because of Don and all the friends I've made. Well worth the monthly cost. Thank you, Kathy. I really appreciate that. The cost is $15 a month. And then if you want to buy multiple months at a time, there's discounts that go along with it. What are your best moving tips for small apartments with a spouse? So the biggest thing when it comes to moving, whether you have a big house or a little house or an apartment, the biggest thing is that we often think, well, maybe even if I didn't use it in this space, then I'll probably use it in the next. So just in case, I'm going to bring it with. And again, when we sold real estate, people moved with so much stuff that they never ever used again. I mean, you know, the jokes of like, oh, see all those boxes? Yeah, those are from our last move that we never unboxed. So Brooke, my biggest encouragement, think about all the work of moving a single item. You have to pack it into a box. You have to move the box. Then you have to move the box in, you know, it goes into the moving truck or car. And then then you have to carry it into the next place that you're going to live. And then you have to unpack it. And then you have to find a space for it. If you would be willing to skip those steps and on this end, declutter anything that you are not for sure going to use in the next place, you will thank yourself so much. So, you know, artwork, furniture, linens, pillows, all of that kind of stuff. We keep like, because we're like, well, I don't know if I'll use it. But chances are, if you're not using it now, you're not going to use it in the next one either. How did you find time with having young children? Yeah, so I mean, I'll be very honest. They watched a lot of TV when I was decluttering. So they were ages infant, Gage was around 6 months, 4 months, I don't know, infant through 4 years old when I found minimalism and started decluttering. And so that was the first TV we had connected to Netflix, because we were in our townhouse and we actually had like cable TV or whatever it was called. That was new. I'd never had that like when we were growing up and stuff. And so they would just binge cartoons on Netflix. And is that like the best? And are some children, maybe that wouldn't be super great for them? Probably not. Gage lived in my carrier too. Like if he was not nappy, and he was usually in the carrier. But when I look back again, and looking at the payoff of that, my goodness, I mean, I would do it 12 times over again, right? Because the benefits have been so good. The kids have experienced the benefits. I feel like a better mom. Definitely a more calm mom. So yeah, you might have to do less than ideal things right now while you're decluttering, but I mean, I would just trust that it is really going to pay off. How do you get past the guilt when going through pictures? I have so many thinking my kids will want them. Yeah, you know, photos is actually something we went through in our mentorship group earlier this year. And the best advice I can give you is that it is a gift to give your kids a small curated collection of photos. You know, even now, I'm going to share more of going through my old childhood bedroom. My mom and I still need to do photos, and we're going to do another photo camp for sure. But it is such a gift to give your kids or other people you love a small curated collection of photos. You know, one or two from each event, like one or two from Christmas, one from the summer sporting thing, one from the fair, one from Disney, you know, Disney World, maybe a couple, right? But we don't need lots of photos to remember these important times. And so if you're willing to pare it down and really curate it, your kids are going to be so grateful for that. You know, and I think back, I don't have, you know, pictures from every important thing in my childhood, and that's okay, right? Lots of highlights. I don't need them from everything. How do you corral your kids' treasures? There are so many little things that come into my kids' room that is special to them, but doesn't really have a home or others to consolidate with. Yeah, I'll grab Gage's treasure bin. I showed this on the YouTube video as we hushed another room in our house, but it was doing the boys' bedroom. And so I showed these treasure bins that Gage has, because Gage is our most attached to things. So he has two bins like this, and this can work for adults too. So this is different than a memory box. We want everyone in your house to have a memory box, and that's where super special things go. And that's meant to be curated over time. And then, when they graduate or move out or whatever, that it's representing, like their childhood. So that's the memory box. Then we have the treasure bins, which is just for crap, like whatever is special to them at the time. And so these bins, I always get asked, they were from Marshall's a couple years ago, but they have lots of stuff still similar. But I mean, the things that are special to him are so random, and I don't know what that's from. This was something like from piano, but it's just the envelope. But he wanted to keep it, right? Let's see. This is actually an empty wrapper. There's nothing in here. When you get like all these little kits of stuff, another card, something he's painted. He also is the one that if the other kids are getting rid of stuff, he will take it. So this was like yarn Maggie had. And I have to tell the kids, I'm like, if there is stuff you want to donate or get rid of, do not offer it in front of Gage because he will always take it and then he keeps it, right? So he can keep anything he wants in here. And then, but here's the rules, and he has two of these, right? The rule is that the lid has to fit on. And then when we get to a point, if the lid doesn't fit on, we have to go through it. And we have practiced this and he's gotten good about it. It's not even a big deal. It's like a non-issue. Now, does he get rid of a lot of things? No, he gets rid of just a few things until the lid fits on again, right? But he is learning and he respects the limits of the container. And I've heard from other moms like that this has been very effective. Also, if you have kids, autism, ADD, ADHD, OCD, ODD, that things like this, they need to see some kind of limit, some kind of container. We can keep all the most special things. We just can't keep everything. And also, if you put a question mark in front of your question, as these friends are doing, it's easier for me to see it. When we talk about what we are thankful for, I really rarely think we mention our basement that is filled with stuff we don't know or remember about. Right. And again, we're talking about living a life worth dying for. So many of us have just become so overwhelmed by our clutter, and we don't even realize the toll that it's taking on, our feelings of hopefulness and well being. I heard a really good description of hope the other day, and it said, hope is the intersection of our desires and our belief that it'll come true. That's what hope is, that I desire this. And I think there is a possibility. Sometimes it's a real slim possibility, but there is a chance that it could come through. But when we no longer believe that there's a possibility that that's going to come true, that's so sad, right? And so for many of us, these things we had hoped for and wanted in our life, we have lost the thought that they could come through, and we don't even realize that for many of us it's because of our clutter. It's because our space has got so overwhelming. We're so stressed all the time. We never get a break from it, that there's like no room for hope anymore or belief that these good things could happen in our life. And so again, in the beginning, I did not want to overstate. I thought I was the only one that was like gaining confidence and hope and feelings of happiness from decluttering. I'm like, I'm just weird. I must, it can't possibly be universal. But now, as I get to work with other friends and hear their stories, and they're like, no, I don't know what it is, but now I believe I can help others. I believe I could start this business. I believe I could do this thing, and that I have value, and that I am contributing, that I have a life worth dying for, right? Because I decluttered my house. Again, it doesn't always compute, but man, it is. It's how it works, and it is so cool, because in many ways, like, then we are facilitating our own happiness and our own ability to be hopeful again, right? Shelly says, how do you deal with items you inherit from husband's family members? I don't want to hurt my hubby's feelings, telling him I don't want these things anymore due to no use. Great question, Shelly. So I would highly recommend that you get the book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff by Matt Paxton. And he in there talks about curating a legacy list. So I think the conversation isn't, hey, we're not using any of this stuff, we're just storing it. It's, draining us. It is, okay, you know what? This stuff from your family is really important. I want to curate it into a legacy list. I want you and I to work together to pick out the most special of special things that are getting stored in a way where we can revisit them, where we're telling the stories, where they're they're not a burden to us. And so I would recommend that you read the book if he's open, or you could read parts of it to him or share ideas with it from him. But we need a mindset shift in this area. No one taught us how to manage this kind of stuff, and I believe that book is super helpful in it. We went through it in our mentorship group, and it was so good. And we're going to revisit throughout the summer. We're going to revisit some of the highlights of the books we've gone through, because they're just so many valuable things. Oh, this is so cool. Dawn, I'm such a minimal mom with muscles. I have shared you with so many of my friends and family, and you have changed their lives, even mine. Love all your content. Thank you, Fallon. That is awesome. I appreciate that so much. How do you deal with mini kitchen appliances? Yeah. Well, here's the problem, Kate, right? You know you're not using it. You're probably never going to, but the reason you're keeping it probably is because you spent money on it, right? And you feel guilty just letting it go. Most kitchen appliances can be replicated with something else you have in your kitchen, And so we get these little gadgets and things because really we think it's going to make our life better. We have good intentions when we get it. It's going to make cooking easier, making smoothies easier, being healthy easier, whatever, right? But the truth is that most of us has something else we could use in place of it. So if you are not using it, let it go. Maybe sell it on Marketplace, but probably just donate it. And then if you ever get to the point you're like, wow, I'm really on a health kick in this. And then, maybe I do want to make a smoothie. Well, probably you have something else that you could use for it, right? Or like then at the time, if you're like, wow, I've developed the habit, I really believe I would use this, I can go through those questions and it would pass that test. Well, I could probably go on Marketplace and find one too. So or I could borrow one from a friend and then see if I really do like it, or if I'm just glamorizing in my head. But permission to let those things go. Using a time will tell bin or a deliberation station can be really helpful with anything that was like a little bit more expensive. How do you handle socks at your house? Singles, keeping pairs together drives me nuts. Do you have an easy way to keep track of them? Yes. So in our laundry room, for the kids, they each have a basket, the boys share. So there's 3 baskets. We just put them in unmatched. And then Tom has a basket in there as well. Again, our house is a little wonky because we don't have a lot of closets. But it's really nice actually having it in the laundry room because they go out of the dryer into those spots. And also we have a main floor laundry room. If you didn't, that might not make sense. But we do not match socks. They just go into a bin. Even mine, I have like more of a traditional underwear drawer, but I just have a container that all the socks go in. They do not get matched. So you do you. Some people that's like, that's horrifying. I would never, but works great for us. Any suggestions for downsizing to a to an RV full time and not going to get a storage? Yeah, um that's no small feat, right? I mean, it's really going to just take you being willing to let go of perfectly good things that you've spent money on, and being willing to live with the uncertainty that maybe we're not going to bring everything that we need because you've never full-time RV'd before, right? And you can watch the YouTube videos and get all the lists and everything, but until you've done it, you don't know for sure what you're going to want or need. So there's something with accepting the fact that I'm not going to do this perfectly. I'm going to be willing to let go of so much stuff because I believe that freedom that we're going to gain through this lifestyle is going to be worth it, right? So therefore, at the onset, I'm going to recognize that there is risk involved, but I believe the payoff is going to be worth it. So I think even just understanding there might be mistakes. You might get rid of stuff that you could have used, and being okay with that, you're going to then be able to let a lot more stuff go, because the problem is some people pack their RVs so tight and then they're not experiencing the freedom that they hoped. So if you're willing to just travel really lightly, with the risk that you might have had something you could have used, I think then you'll be in good shape. Coming from someone who's never done that before. Anyway, camped. And every time I go camping, I come back home thinking I should declutter more, because it's okay to have a little discomfort, right? It's okay to have to use a large cooking pot for a watermelon bowl because I forgot to pack a large bowl, right? We're very creative, and sometimes a little discomfort actually feels good. And so we're so like adverse to it now, but there'll be some discomfort along the way, but the trade-off is so much freedom too, right? I'm not sure how to approach decluttering my dolls and toys from my childhood. Is 9 too many? Is it okay to keep them since I have space for them? Yeah. So I'm going to share more of that coming up here with my bedroom. I had a whole collection of porcelain dolls. And then I'd also gone through my stuffed animals too. I decided to keep 1 porcelain doll and 2 of my stuffed animals that were special. and then I let the rest go. I think that number is unique to each of us. And I don't think 9 is too many. And you might do 9 now. And then maybe another time when you're doing another decluttering pass or another layer of the onion, then you might be like, oh, maybe I'm ready to go down to 5 now, or 7, or whatever. So I think 9 is a great starting place. Would your mom do an update on the status of her pantry? Yes, we are going to do that this summer. We have already talked about it. I can't believe it's been, I don't know, a couple of years. When did we do her pantry? So yeah, we're 1,000. She has kept it up so well, but every time I go to her house, I'm like, I think I have some ideas for how it could function even better. So 1,000%, we'll share what worked, what hasn't, make a few adjustments. I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. I was given a doll collection and they were stored in an attic in a box and they smell weird. What would you suggest to get rid of the smell? Well, I would say, Shelly, do you want the dolls? Again, what's so cool about this idea of the legacy list, and I'm going to talk about this more next week in my YouTube video, is that we're talking about a very small number of physical items that tell our legacy. How did I get to be who I am? And that's where then like the porcelain dolls, well, it was something that was special to me when I was younger. If I think about passing that on to my kids, that it didn't make me who I am, right? They're not going to be like, oh yeah, mom was, this because of that. Like now I have some of my artwork. I kept a couple pieces, some of my like 4-H ribbons and stuff like that. I actually felt like was part of like who I am today. So when we're looking at the legacy list, is this doll collection, is it something that you're like, yeah, I want to maintain it. I want to tell the stories. I want to pass it off. I enjoy maintaining it. It doesn't feel like a burden. Otherwise, I actually don't know what takes away smell. Probably someone would have an idea and maybe you could Google it. But I would say, do you actually want to keep it? Or could we give you permission to let it go? But I don't know all the details of it. I have been decluttering and embracing minimalism for almost 3 years. That is awesome. And sometimes we feel like, I'm not sure if you feel like 3 years is fast or a long time, but to anyone who feels like I've been on this journey for a while, I haven't gotten to where I need to go, may we please help you? I mean, I would love nothing more. YouTube is awesome. I'm so grateful for YouTube, all the things I've been able to share on there, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being live with you like this every week. Getting to answer your questions, getting to just see you, what's hanging you up this week, what's struggling. Oh, well, I have this doll collection and my husband wants me to keep it and I want nothing to do with it, right? Okay, let's talk it out, right? Let us give you permission. Oh, my kids are really attached to this. What do I do? And then other moms are chiming in, and sharing ideas. And so this is awesome. I'm so grateful for it, but it's not the same as when we actually get to do it in community together. How do I close on the last small percentage of items that I need to go? Yeah. So for me, my question switched from, am I using it? Do I know for sure that I'm going to use it in the future, to could I live without it? So I am definitely at a point now where I don't want to keep anything extra. I am constantly going through my kitchen, like what else can go? What else can go? Because I've experienced all those benefits that we were talking about. And I see physical things that I'm not using as a burden. Physical items are meant to be a tool. It's meant to add value to our life. It's meant to make our life easier. And as soon as it becomes something we're not using, it's not adding value, it is a burden. It is clutter. It is something I have to spend my precious time and energy managing when I could be doing other things. And so my question now is, but could I live without it? What would I use instead? If I didn't have this, could I borrow it? Could I use something else? And so those questions just are constantly going through my mind. And I think that helps many of us get to that next stage of decluttering. How do I handle kid stuff? So definitely that video that we did a week or two ago, that I hushed another room, that's the boys' room. I do try to share a lot of ideas in there. Kids do really great with the container concept, so limits. Also, I shared on the podcast that I did recently with Lori from Simply Be Organized. I got a little pushback on this, and I've shared it before, but I get pushback on it. The idea, it depends how old your kids are, Samara, but to say, hey, here's a laundry basket or a box, fill it up with stuff you don't need anymore, and I'll give you $5. And there was a lot of comments like, hey, are you bribing your kids or manipulating them or whatever? But also a lot of moms on there that were like, hey, I did this and it worked. And so do I think it's bribing my kids? No, I think it's a value exchange. as adults, we can list stuff on Marketplace. And if we're like, I don't want this thing anymore and I'm just going to sell it. Kids don't always have that same opportunity, right? And so all I'm doing is saying, I'm not forcing them to fill it. They're voluntarily. Maybe I wasn't clear about that. I'm not saying you have to fill this box and I'm only giving you $5 for it, right? Even though there's thousands of dollars worth of stuff there. No, I'm seeing where their level of attachment is to it. If I say, here's a box, if you fill it, I'll give you $5. They know the gain, they know what's at stake, right? And they decide what goes in it. And I'm always I don't actually really have to do this with our kids much. I just say, here's a donation box, go fill it. And they do, because we've practiced this so much. But for many parents, this is very helpful because often your kids would rather have the $5, you put a dollar amount you want, than this stuff. They've lost value for it. They just didn't know it was okay to let it go. And then if you do have kids that are really attached to stuff, that's where things like the treasure bins come in. But all the time we talk about, like, if something's on the floor, that means you don't have value for it. And then that means for me, I have to look around, because if any of my stuff's on the floor, that means I don't have value for it, right? But I'm always telling them, like, hey, like, it looks like, you don't want that anymore. Or I love this phrase too of like, you pick it up, you keep it, I pick it up, I keep it. So maybe if their room's a mess, you say like, hey, go in, pick up anything you want to keep, make sure it's up off the floor. And then I'm coming in behind you. Anything on the floor is fair game and I'm going to take it. A lot of times kids don't even want this stuff, right? Now, again, we do have those that are really attached, but a lot of our kids are not attached, don't care. They just don't know how to go about decluttering and letting stuff go. Would you have tips to help engage husbands in decluttering? Mine says, since we have it, why don't we just keep it if we may need it? Yeah, no, that's a hard argument, right, to go up against. And that's where we have to start often educating our spouses on saying, well, here's what I'm learning. I'm learning that it releases stress hormones. I'm experiencing for myself, I decluttered my half of the closet and now this is how I feel. The kitchen feels this way. I'm noticing these benefits, and kind of a mixture of like what we're experiencing, and then also usually some science helps resonate with them too. So there's that piece. Also, I like to use the word organizing, not decluttering. Like, hey, could I help you organize your half of the closet? But it's a process, and it takes some time of sharing the benefits, letting them experience some of the benefits, and then using some of this verbiage with them. I also really like, Cass has shared in our Take Your House Back course that often what she'll do now, if it's an area that kind of has like some of Joe's stuff and her stuff, is that she'll declutter it. She'll put all the things that are his in a box and say, hey, this is stuff. And again, if your husband's saying like, why would we get rid of perfectly good things? This might not work as well. But hey, these are things that we're not using, maybe I think someone else could make use of. They're cluttering up the space. Doesn't it feel so much better now that all of this isn't in here? Will you look through it quick? And if there's anything that you for sure want to keep, we'll pull it out. But otherwise, if it's okay with you, we're going to let the rest go. And she's like, yeah, inevitably he pulls some things out. But she's like, I end up getting rid of way more because it's already boxed up and ready to go than if I said, hey, will you go through this space on your own? Beth says, I have a wedding video from 25 years ago I've never watched and don't ever plan to watch, but my husband doesn't want me to let it go. Any suggestions? I'm happily married. Yeah, that's a tough one, because it's kind of like, yeah, a video doesn't take up a lot of space. So if he wants to keep it, then, I guess on that one, then we'd probably be like, okay, you're an adult and you can choose what you keep. But I understand it, how there's times where you're like, but you're not watching it. Like, who cares? Like, why? Like, why would we keep something we're not using? That's just that Dawn just said, that's the definition of clutter, right? And we know clutter equals stress. So why would we keep this thing? Like, so I totally understand. What's the best way to sort through the belongings of a deceased family member? Items are still in boxes to avoid painful memories. Yeah. So number one, making sure you're ready to go through it. Like for sure, usually people need at least a year before they're ready, depending on the relationship you had with the person. So make sure you're ready. I really think that book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff, is helpful. And again, we talk about creating our own legacy list, but this is also a helpful tactic if we have inherited stuff from other family members, to talk about creating their legacy list. And especially if it's a spouse's parents, or, it's not your personal family relation. I think this idea of saying, I want to honor your parents, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa. I know we can't keep all of it, but could we embrace this idea of creating a legacy list where we are picking out the most important things? Ideally, some of them we'll display, we'll have out, we'll tell the stories. When people come over and they notice it, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it with the kids. Like, there's something very special about curating it down to a small amount that actually makes it so that we do revisit it. We do use it to honor the memories of the people that went before us. Tana says, I've been following your decluttering tips for almost 4 years and love it. I'm moving to kindergarten and the retired teacher left so much stuff. It's overwhelming to look at. Where should I start? Yeah, I hear that from teachers, that often they think, well, sometimes they think this will be beneficial. Other times it feels like they just didn't want to go through the work of like having to go through it all, right? So, this is probably where like a deliberation station would be helpful. I would pull out anything that you're not for sure going to use in your school year. Pull it all out. Like you deserve a clean slate to work with, and likely you have ideas of the things you want to use and incorporate in there. And then once you kind of get it all pulled out, then you can decide if you want to donate it, share it with other teachers. But I'm guessing the bulk of it you don't have use for, and that's okay. Right. So just being really open handed with it all and willing to let anything go that you don't imagine that you're going to use. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. So permission to let as much go as you need to create the classroom that you want to have. What do you tell me, who is super sentimental and have items, inherited things, and love everything I have? Well, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, Ruth, I'm going to say read the book, keep the memories, lose the stuff. It is fantastic. It really helps us create a mindset of picking out the truly special things from the things that are only kind of special, and why it's important. And then what do we do with the other stuff? Do we sell it? Where do we sell it? Matt has some great tips in there as well. And so I really think, and it's a really enjoyable read. He tells lots of stories. And so I would really recommend that you go through that book. Tips on letting go of items I am meaning to sell but require more research, like an old Beanie Baby collection. So I procrastinate doing the research. Yeah, so a couple things. Put a deadline on it. Say, okay, it has to be listed by the end of Monday, right? Put a deadline on it. Also, make sure to look at eBay completed listings. So not what people are trying to get for it on eBay right now, but the actual completed listings, to get a realistic idea of what you could get for them and if it's actually worth your time. Many things are not actually that as valuable as we think. And actually, Matt jokes a lot about Beanie Babies, so I don't know if they still hold their value or not. I know we never want to take that risk. Like I have that one super special rare one, right? But look at the completed listings on eBay. We can do that when we're just sitting on the couch at the end of the day. But that can give us valuable data to work with. Is it actually worth my time or not? Where to find the legacy list. So that's in that book, Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff. Yep. I love decorating seasonally. How do you keep your inventory light, but not so light as then you want to buy more again? Well, so that's, Gloria, I think what is important is to know ourselves. I actually enjoy buying a few 1 to 3 new pieces each season. So probably 3 times a year, whether it's spring or fall or Christmas. It's just kind of fun. Christmas probably stays the most static, but I really enjoy it. And so I decide that I only carry over like the really good quality, timeless pieces, flexible things that I use the most often. And I've gotten rid of a lot of pieces that I only use for one season. And I'm just okay with that. Some of it was secondhand, some of it was new, some came from antique stores, some came from thrift stores. And I've just decided that that's okay. So I do keep the stuff I carry over very limited. I have like one bin for fall, well, now we have 2 Christmas totes, right? And one for just extra general home decor, right? And those are my containers, my limits, and I just keep what comfortably fits in there, and then I let the other stuff go. So it's knowing yourself, I think. And do I really just only use the same stuff year after year, or do I enjoy getting a new piece here and there? Candace says, my husband is downsizing and getting rid of our airplane hanger. Lots of stuff for him to go through, and I can't really help because I don't know what is worth keeping. How can I help with it? So don't underestimate the power of body doubling, though. Even from the outside, you can help organize. You can help be a runner. You can help bag up garbage. You can help box up things. You can help if he wants to sell something, look up what it's worth. So I wouldn't underestimate that, even though you don't specifically know the ins and outs of the stuff, that you could still help him with that. There is something for many of us are motivated by knowing, okay, Saturday morning, we're going to go there together and do this, and having you there for support likely will be very helpful to him. Kate says, I declutter my stuff easy, but because of that, my family, brother, parents say I give it to you. So are they giving you extra stuff? You decide. I want to make sure I'm understanding your question, because not maybe I say I give it to you. Yeah, I think they're giving you their clutter too. You get to decide if you want to be that person anymore or not. You can be like, you know what, I don't I don't need extra decluttering work, so I'm not going to take this stuff anymore. Or I'll tell you where the donation center is or whatever. Or you might take it and say, like, you know what, if it means it's getting out of their house, then whatever, I'll do it. So up to you if you want to continue to be that person anymore or not. Awesome. Well, it has been so fun to get to spend this time with you. I really hope that you have a great long weekend. We are just Memorial Day for us is typically like yard work, plant the garden, all of that. The garden is such a mess right now, but it's okay. It is every year this time. So we're just gonna be hanging out and doing yard work and that kind of stuff. So looking forward to that though. It's beautiful right now in Minnesota. So I hope that you have a really great long weekend. I'd love to see you inside our mentorship group. I'd love to help you and push you and encourage you and all of that. It's such a cool group, and I feel really fortunate to get to be a part of it. All right. Well, I love you. I hope you have a really good weekend, and I will see you again soon.